Sarah, just update on what's going on with you right now.
So I won the title back in May, and at this point I've just been trying to get any kind of fight that I can. It seems like Shannon and Invicta are struggling to find any 35ers who are willing to step up and take the fight. So I'm looking at the UFC and definitely hoping that their 35ers are up for the challenge and aren't scared.
Yeah, I mean, have you had any conversations with Sean Shelby or Maynard or Dana or anything like that hint they may want you back at this time or anything?
Yeah, my management's been talking with them, and I think they're just looking for the right opportunity. But I want the opportunity to be now. I don't want to wait. I really am in my prime at this point, and I'm getting better every time, and I'm getting more dangerous every fight. And I think that makes it hard for the matchmakers because the 35 girls are not lining up to say yes. But that's not my problem. My problem is getting in the cage and being dangerous and being exciting and getting big wins.
Yeah, so kind of like, what's the contract status really with Invicta? Like, how does that work in your relationship? Like, if the UFC wanted you back, they would easily let you do that? You would just relinquish the title, or do you owe them more fights? How does that really work?
I do have 2 more fights with Invicta, but at any point, Invicta's great. I can go fight anywhere else. UFC calls up, and they'll 100% be supportive of that. And Shannon really wants the best for the fighters, and I mean, she's been supporting me since back in Strikeforce. So it's nice to have that. And so I have the backing in Invicta, but she would happily let me go to UFC and fight all the big names.
Yeah, so if you can't get a 35 or Invicta, is there maybe an opportunity to look at 45? I know they have a division there as well. Maybe someone would be more willing to fight you at that weight class?
Yeah, ideally I want to be fighting the 35ers, the best in the world, and the UFC has the best in the world. I think it's undeniable that I am in that echelon. I'm top 5 at least, if not higher. And so that's where I want to be. That's who I want to be fighting. I think Raquel Pennington, I think Kat Zingano, even Tanya Evinger would all be great fights, and fights that fans would want, the UFC would be happy with. But if they say no, if they're not willing to take those fights, the last 2 bantamweight Invicta title holders have come into the UFC via Cyborg. And so there's always that option as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they announced Tanya Evinger's fighting Ketlin Vieira in September in Sao Paulo. So
I wanted that fight too.
Yeah, so I guess it's tough right now. I mean, it's just frustrating because we know you love to fight, you want to fight consistently, but this seems like it's going to be an issue for you for a while, just getting people to actually get in there with you.
My whole career, it's been people don't want to get hit, people say no. I literally at one point when I fought Alexis Davis for the 3rd time, she is the only bantamweight fighter on the roster who would say yes. They went through the entire roster and not a single bantamweight fighter said yes, other than Alexis Davis.
Yeah, no, you've done what you've had to do since leaving the UFC, and there's been a lot of turnover in the division. It's kind of a different weight class than it was when you were fighting there. So I guess that's kind of what you're looking at the most, right? You're seeing all these fresh matchups, and you just want to be part of the fun, right?
I want to be the best in the world,
yeah.
And again, the UFC is where that's happening. Invicta's amazing, but there's just not the girls there to fight me right now. None of them are willing to say yes. And so I need to be in the UFC. I want to be challenging Amanda Nunes. I understand that having a fight or 2 before that is probably what needs to happen, but I'm willing to do that. I will literally fight on every second card if given the option. But there's Moncton, which is in Canada, and so they need Canadian talent. The Canadian talent tonight kind of went 50-50, or maybe not even quite 50-50, 3 and 4, and I want to bring that number up. I mean, I could be, the queen of Canadian MMA, but I need the opportunity, and I've been putting it together, and I should be there.
Yeah. So, what's kind of your best guess? Like, if you had to predict your future, what happens next? If you just had to really imagine what it's going to be.
Ideally, it would be fighting Raquel Pennington or Kat Zingano. If both of those ladies say no, then it would be fighting Chris Cyborg, and then if both of those things fall through, then I'll challenge for the vacant title in the Invicta at 145 and become the Invicta's champ, and then I can't be denied.
Yeah, definitely. How do you see, it seems like Amanda and Cyborg are probably going to fight at the end of the year. How do you see that going down, and what do you think kind of the aftermath of that would be? I guess it depends on who wins.
I mean, if Amanda wins, they'll have an immediate rematch. If Chris wins, I don't know where she goes from there. They definitely need people. That's why they're doing the Tough Show. On the Tough Show are my last 2 opponents. So it's, and then my opponent before that, Jessica Rose Clark, she's now in the UFC. So you lose to me, you get in the UFC. It just kind of good math there that I should be in the UFC.